Will Goldstein here, thekingscourt.com. That's my main website. Here along with YouTube, The King's Court. So again, chance to subscribe down there if you've been watching these videos. It's nice. I think I'm at 59 maybe people have subscribed so far. Let's see, I think YouTube wants you to have at least 500. I think I've got a ways to go. I'm not doing that for really. I'm just doing it because I want to help people. So anyway, again, I'm a musician, so you can always check out my songbooks. They're free, and there's loads of them. And also my music on all the platforms, The King's Court. So anyway, all the links are at my website. So this book again, we're still in the same series. The book 3, C.S. Lewis, Mere Christianity, great, fabulous book. I recommend anybody buying this book and reading it. I'm giving you a lot of the material in the book, the highlights, and making it a little bit shorter for you. But anyway, so he calls this Morality and Psychoanalysis. That's a very good title. I might add comparison of morality and psychoanalysis. That's basically what he's doing. He starts out by basically saying we will never get a Christian society unless most of us become Christians. That's pretty much the conclusion he came to in the last video, if you watch that. It means we must begin at once the job of doing as you would be done by, the golden rule. It's time to begin considering the Christian idea of a good man. So if we're going to do that, that's what he's getting at. What is a good man? And he goes on to say, Christian morality claims to put humans right. It is related to another technique, namely psychoanalysis, because they both have sort of the same pursuit. But now he's going to tell you the difference. He talks a little bit about Freud, and he talks a little bit about Jung, but not much. But he mentions, that Freud can be trusted in terms of psychoanalysis, but not much in philosophy. But anyway, so he goes on to say, psychoanalysis technique overlaps with Christian morality at some points, but not all the way. The two techniques are doing really different things. When a man makes a moral choice, two things are involved. One of them is the act of choosing, and the other is associated with the various feelings and impulses that he says are the raw material that is provided to make the choice that you're about to make. This raw material could be either normal or it may be associated with unnatural feelings. So again, psychoanalysis, unnatural feelings and those are feelings that have really gone wrong in the subconscious. For example, the fear of things that are really dangerous is an example of the first kind. If it's really dangerous, you should have fear. But an irrational fear, such as that of a person about cats or spiders, is an example of irrational kind of fear. The desire gives more examples. The desire of a man for a woman is obviously the first kind. But he says the perverted desire of a man for a man is the second kind, and that's abnormal. It goes against nature. So psychoanalysis undertakes to remove the abnormal feelings and to give man a better raw material for making his choices. Morality, though, is concerned with the act of the choice itself. So then he gives an example. Imagine about men going to war. Imagine 3 men and they're going off to war, and one has very natural feelings about the fear of danger, as he should. He could die. and he subdues it by a moral effort and finds a way to strengthen himself and become a brave man, probably by calling out to God and asking for help. The other two, as a result of there's some things in their subconscious, have irrational fears, and no amount of moral effort is ever going to help them to do anything about the position that they're in. Psychoanalysis may cure the problems these two have, their irrational fears, but once the psychoanalytical problem is over, after it's been cured, the moral problem then really begins. They are cured by seeing a psychologist, but these two men take quite different paths. One might say, I can do my duty now and fight for the cause of freedom. Or one is cured and might be cured fully, and that's what he would say. The other one might say, I'm glad I now feel cool under fire, but of course I'm still determined to look out for number one and let the other chap do all the dangerous stuff. So in other words, there's no morality. Once he's been cured by psychoanalysis, he's still only looking out for number one, so there's no morality involved. He's just cured up the problems that were in his subconscious, which is good. Since this difference is purely a moral one, psychoanalysis cannot really fully help, let's say. Once you improve the man, you still have the free choice of the man, either to put his own advantage first or to put it last. This free choice is the only thing morality is really concerned with. The bad psychological material is not really a sin. It's really more of a disease. It does not need to be repented of because it's not a sin. It just needs to be cured. Or it would be better if it is cured. Human beings judge one another by their actions. God judges them by their moral choices. When a neurotic has pathological horror of cats, and then he forces himself to reach down and pick up a cat, in God's eyes, he has shown an amazing amount of courage. When a man perverted from his youth and is taught cruelty, does kindness or refrains from cruelty, in God's eyes, he has done well. So it's all based on the raw material. That's what he's getting at. Whether you've been blessed, grown up in good circumstances and blessed with a lot of wonderful things in your upbringing and in your psychological makeup, the way that God created you, or you've, grown up in the ghetto, in poverty, and your mother's a prostitute or whatever. There's difficult circumstances. So God sees that and understands that. He's interested in progress. That's really what he's getting at. God does not judge on raw material, but on what he has done with it. When the body dies, the real central man, the thing that chose, that made the best or the worst out of this material, it'll stand there naked. And then he goes on to say at the end, and everyone will see who that man or woman really is. Every time you make a choice, you're turning the central part of you. You're adjusting in some way, into something a little different. And your life, with all its innumerable choices, is slowly turning into either a heavenly creature or a hellish creature. Either in harmony with God and with other creatures, or one that is in a state of war and hatred with God, all based on your daily choices. One is the kind of creature born for heaven, with joy and peace and knowledge and power. The other is fit for madness, horror, idiocy, rage, impotence, and eternal loneliness. At each moment, we are progressing towards one state or the other. think I said in other videos, every choice we make, we are either moving toward the light or toward the darkness. It's all based on habits, habitual choices. What we should be thinking about is the mark that these actions leave on our, he says, central self, I would say soul. Unless a man repents from sin, it will be harder for him to keep away the next time he is tempted. Every time we make a positive choice, it's easier to continue. When we fall back into sin, it'll be harder again now, because now we're tempted even more again. I think Jesus basically said, returning to your sin is like a dog returning to its vomit. If a man seriously turns to God, he can be straightened out again. But if not, then he's doomed. So those are really, at the end of the day, the only two choices. You either choose salvation or damnation. He uses the word doomed. The right direction leads to peace, but it also leads to knowledge. When a man gets better, he understands more, and he understands clearly the evil that is still inside him. It's not about being perfect. It's about reaching towards perfection. It's about trying to envision perfection and trying to seek, looking at that perfection as a goal that you're reaching for, and trying to get closer towards that perfection in your life. And the more right choices you make, the closer you get to that perfection. The more bad choices, the farther you are moving away from that. So when a man is getting worse, he understands his badness less. He just thinks it's normal. A moderately bad man knows he's not very good. A thoroughly bad man thinks he's quite all right. Good people know about both good and evil. Bad people do not understand either.